Hello there, everyone. Coda is a film that depicts the tale of a high school student in Gloucester, Massachusetts, who is the only hearing person in her family. Her parents and older brother are all deaf. Spoiler alert, this video contains high spoilers and is just to tell the storyline. Coda starts out on the vast seas, with Ruby's voice drifting through the waves as she works in her family's fishing boat. Emilia Jones stars as Ruby Rossi and is a senior high school student and the only hearing member of her deaf family. It includes her father, Troy Kotsur, as Frank, Marlee Matlin as Mother Jackie, and older brother Leo, played by Daniel Durant. Ruby enjoys singing while working on her father's fishing boat alongside her father and brother. She gets up at the crack of dawn to help her family with her fishing business and attend school. She speaks for her entire family and their business to the dock workers, and Ruby spends her days at school with her best friend Gertie, where she is teased for smelling like fish and having a deaf family by some of the other students. Miles is Ruby's crush, so when she sees him sign up for choir, she does the same. After that, she joins her parents to a doctor's visit and has to convey the information that they have jock itch and that the doctor has ordered them not to have sex for 2 weeks, which they claim is impossible. Mr. Villalobos, the choir teacher, invites each pupil to sing a little so he can learn their vocal parts. When Ruby's turn comes, she becomes very frightened and upset, and she bolts from the room. When she arrives home, she gets to know that at the dock, all of the fishermen are told that they would have to pay $800 a day out of pocket for federal observers to come and ensure that they are following all of their requirements, which is extremely frustrating for all of the fishermen who claim they cannot afford it. Ruby returns to Mr. Villalobos at school and reveals that when she was younger, she was teased for the way she sounded and she still gets scared. Mr. Villalobos eventually hears Ruby sing and is blown away by her talent. He eventually chooses her to perform a duet with Miles during the fall show. Mr. Villalobos has Ruby and Miles sing their duet for him at school, and they are completely out of rhythm because they practice separately rather than together. He urges them to correct it, and then inquires about Ruby's intentions after graduation. Ruby claims that she will not be attending college because her family cannot afford it. He offers to tutor her to help her prepare for the audition, and she agrees. Meanwhile, Leo has the idea to form a co-op for their selling, but his father is opposed to it, which makes him angry. The fishermen are addressed by a council regarding the observers. Frank eventually rises to speak, and Ruby translates. Where he decides to adopt Leo's plan, he announces that they're forming their own co-op and invites everyone to bring their catch to him, where he'll sell it for double the price. Ruby starts working full-time on the new business, handling all of the translation and maintaining her hectic practice routine. Jackie makes an effort to communicate with the other women, but feels excluded. Meanwhile, Mr. Villalobos becomes enraged with Ruby because she is late and does not take her work seriously. He warns her that if she is late again, he will stop tutoring her. After that, Miles locates Ruby and apologizes, explaining that he admires her family's devotion to one another, which he lacks in his own. Another day, a news crew arrives at the firm to interview Frank and Jackie. He yells at Ruby that she can't go to practice, so Ruby remains for the interview and then runs over to Mr. Villalobos' house, but he does not answer. She goes to meet him at school to apologize, but he refuses to tutor her anymore. Ruby tells her family how much she enjoys singing at home and gets into a disagreement with them about being their interpreter and how tired she is. Then Ruby skips work because she's upset with her family. She goes swimming with Miles and they eventually kiss. While on the dock, the observer arrives to keep an eye on Frank's boat. He notices no one working on the boat and Frank's license gets suspended, and he faces large fines. When Frank says he'll sell the firm, Ruby chooses to forgo college and stay on the boat, claiming she's excited about it. Ruby visits Leo, who tells her that she can sing and that she should do it. She wants to perform in the concert after having a positive conversation with Leo. The family was unable to hear Ruby play during the concert, but Gertie assures them that she is doing well. Mr. Villalobos then introduces himself, attempting to say hello in sign language, but inadvertently says, "fuck you." He tells them they're making a huge mistake by not allowing Ruby to attend school, but Ruby ignores him. After the show, Frank inquires about Ruby's song and requests that she performs it for him. Ruby's entire family attends her Berkeley audition the next day, where Ruby learns that she hasn't brought her sheet music to the audition. So Mr. Villalobos helps her by intentionally messing up the piano to allow her to restart. Ruby performs both sides now, while signing the words as her family enters the theater from the top row. The company starts to go well, as Frank teaches a new hearing deckhand. Jackie develops friendships with the other wives as well. Miles picks up some basic sign language. As Gertie drives Ruby away for Berkeley, she says her goodbyes to her family. She comes to a halt and sprints back to embrace her family in a group hug. As the car drives away, she signs farewell. What movie do you want us to review next?